now let's just get into the topic of the video, and that is this Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition. I said I was going to be doing some upgrades, and this is the first upgrade I'm doing. So I've got it right here. Here's the PC. Yeah, the box looked good, so I put it on there. I'm gonna take that off, and I cleared my desk. There you go. I cleared my desk just for this, so I don't mess up, because I have never replaced or changed out a CPU cooler. I am the kind of person that is really good with his hands, so I'm going to do this for the first time, and I'm going to record it just to see, you know, how it turns out. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I'm somewhat kind of scared about this, but this is how I learned, so I'm just gonna keep at it. Okay, I think it's unscrewed enough. I'm going to shine a light down there, because literally I'm not really sure you can see any of what's going on in here. About right there. Okay, so that's the thermal paste that was on, and there's the CPU. I will set this aside. Okay, I cleaned it off, and it was kind of stressful, so I didn't really do the whole thing on camera, but here is now my Ryzen 5 3600. Nice and clean. All the thermal paste is off. Now I'm just going to reinstall this down onto the socket in the motherboard. So I'm going to do that real quick and get back to the cooler that's right there. Okay. So again, stressful, but I got it down where it needed to be. I followed the guide with the little corner that tells you which way to put it in, and I clamped it down. So I think it's now time that we break out the Hyper 212 cooler and get this thing going, and as well as the back plate, which I have to now turn around and open up so I can get that going. Here is the AMD Wraith cooler. I'm setting it aside over here. Same with the back plate. Here we finally have the cooler, and so I'll pull this out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut in between here and there, just because I'm not gonna want to do this just by one hand. Alright, I got these standoffs in there and the back plate as well. So now it's ready to mount the cooler. And I'm going to put the thermal paste on first. Okay, we're back here. And I now have everything set up, and it's running the way it's supposed to be running. And there you go. The fan is working. It gives me barely enough clearance if I wanted to add more RAM, but also barely enough clearance for the tempered glass side. I took that off right now. I'll put it back on, but so there it is. There's the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition. Okay, now we're done with the bad audio quality part of the video. I didn't realize, but sometimes when I move this GoPro around, it makes a lot of background noise, and so that's something that I know now for next videos. But so I wanted to talk a little bit about, this was my first time, obviously. I've mentioned that maybe 1 or 2 times, and why I feel comfortable doing this kind of thing, especially with something that's so new to me. And the reason is I have been learning about how to do this stuff for years. I've never had the stuff in front of me to actually practice it, and so like I said last video, just me having this computer is going to teach me how to maintain it and how to
upgrade or downgrade or do whatever I want with it. Now another reason, as I have mentioned in the past video, is that what if I wanted to overclock my CPU? Well, it turns out I found out that my CPU was already overclocked and I was running it with the stock cooler. I just found that today. And so when I learned that, it just hit me even harder. Okay, good thing that I have this cooler now, so I can switch it out from the stock one to this one, which is a proven cooler. This is one of the most popular coolers in, maybe for the past 5 to 10 years. Maybe not that far back. I don't know everything, but it's a really popular one, and that's why I picked it. It had good ratings. But at least in my mind now, I can see how important this was. If I would have been running with that overclock for longer than a couple of months with heavy gaming like I do and editing like with this video, it might have damaged it. And so overall, good thing. And it was a fun part of the day. I like learning new things. If it comes to fixing this, or let's say upgrade it in the future, I kind of have a better idea of what to do now that I can pull the whole thing apart. Okay, I now have the NZXT cam software up. That's the software that comes with the monitor. It lets me control my lighting, and it lets me control overclocking the GPU if I want to. Just kind of in general stats of everything I use this computer for, all these stats that I used in the last video. But PC monitoring, that's the important one for right now. It tells me kind of some information about my CPU and my load, my temperatures, and ever since I've installed this Cooler Master, it's been hanging out around here on, let's say 10 and under load. What's good is when there's no load on there, it's more around 38 degrees Celsius. And I've tested it out while playing Battlefield 1 on ultra settings, 75 plus FPS, and that was getting me up only as high as about 75. For me, I'm really happy with that, and I wish I had something to show from before, because before I was getting more around 85, and it took about 10 degrees off, if not a little bit more sometimes, because it was pushing it quite far. And so now with this new cooler, I'm kind of more confident about playing these games at ultra settings with high FPS, just really pushing the CPU. The GPU is independent, it has its own fans. I'm not worried about the GPU, but yes, the CPU, because that's the heart of the whole system. Alright, that's all I got for you this video. I thought this would be a good little update, and there may be some more updates in the future when it comes to this PC in particular. So I will update you guys when that happens. But if you're interested in this PC in particular, I did make that video last week, and you can go back and check that out. If you're interested in any gameplay commentaries, certain video games, I've got quite a few videos that I've made in the past, and I'm a big fan of them, obviously. But you can go back and check those out, see if you like them. And as always, I hope I make a video next week.